What is going on, Laker fans? Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Little special edition of Lakers Talk here on this Sunday. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. I want to spend some time talking about a couple rumors here the last day or so on this Buddy Hield, Myles Turner potentially coming to the Lakers. Would the Lakers give up two first rounders for it? So I'm going to give my thoughts on it, get your thoughts as well. As always, if you guys can subscribe to the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. I am back on the air tomorrow. I'll have my regular show with Travis Rogers. I have Lakers Talk tomorrow night. But just want to kind of get one of these out. I haven't. I like putting up stuff on YouTube, and this topic I find very interesting. So let me break it down from my perspective and give my thoughts on what I think the Lakers should do in this regard. Of course, nothing different over this entire offseason. What we've been talking about. We've been talking about Russell Westbrook. I mean, look at this entire offseason. You cannot have a conversation about the Lakers unless you're bringing up Russ's name. No different in today's episode. So I want to read off. Mark Stein had put out a tweet. He does a great job, as he does on Substack. He put out a tweet. This was a couple days ago now. Lakers and the Pacers have indeed exchanged trade proposals on a swap to try to bring Myles Turner and Buddy Hield to LA. League sources confirmed, but no deal is close. The Lakers offer, I'm told, did attach unspecified draft compensation to Russ and his $47 million contract. Then there was a comment here. Let me read this off because I want to make sure that I have it right. From The Athletic, that a trade package, this is Bob Kravitz of The Athletic, a trade package that would have seen the Lakers trade Russ and a first rounder of the Pacers in return for Myles Turner and Buddy Hield is currently dead. The Pacers want a second first round selection added to that deal, sources say. So, Lake fans, let me make this very simple, and I'd love to get your guys' comments on this as well. The cost, it sounds like, at least today, if you're going to get rid of Russ and you're going to go get Myles Turner and Buddy Hield, it's going to cost you two first rounders. So it's going to cost you the pick in 2027 and the pick in 2029. So what I want to ask Laker fans out there is, do you think the Lakers should trade those two first rounders for those two players specifically? Again, Myles Turner and Buddy Hield. Let me be very clear. Nobody is saying that it wouldn't be, no question about it, it's a better fit than what the Lakers currently have. Russ doesn't fit, period. So if the Lakers do start next season and Russ is on this team, I don't know how many things are going to change. I'd be skeptical to think that things are going to change. Of course, I hope they do because I'm a Laker fan. But I'd also be, I wouldn't be walking into the season feeling very confident that that much is going to change from last year. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean Darvin Ham can't do a better job. The Lakers have a lot younger players than they did a year ago when they signed all these older players at free agency. So right out the gate, things can be different. But to just assume that Russ comes back and everything's going to be fine, I think that one would be a tough one to believe. Myles Turner and Buddy Hield would fit on the Lakers, period. There's no other way to put it. Now, there's a little bit, Damian Jones you signed, Thomas Bryant you signed. You already got two big men, so I think from that perspective, that part's a little interesting, but I don't think the world will end. But Myles Turner is 12, 13 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, and he's a good defender. Has been one of the league leaders in block shots per game. So I give this guy a ton of credit on the defensive side. I mean, you just look at the last couple of years for him. Blocks alone led the league 2020-21 season with 3.4 blocks. Last season, 2.8. The dude plays defense. He'll be a great rim protector while AD maybe focuses a little bit more on the outside. So let's not pretend that Myles Turner is not going to help. Buddy Hield, I think most Laker fans know, whether it was because the Lakers would play the Kings 4 times a year. I know he got traded to the Pacers, but he's a sharpshooter. That's what he does. He's 15 points, 4 rebounds a game, shoots over 40% from the field. From the three-point line, I think last season he was around 37%, something along those lines. But I think just ultimately he's obviously a true threat from the three-point line and certainly would be a true threat for the Lakers simply because you got so much attention that's on LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So both guys can fit. No one is questioning that. The question I think it comes down to this. The way I look at it, there's two ways to look at this. Are those two guys good enough to make the Lakers real threats? And I know there's a lot more that goes into it. We can't just sit here and say, okay, well, it's because Myles Turner and Buddy Hield, Lakers become threat. AD's got to play 70 games. He's got to be, a version of himself that we haven't seen in the last couple years. Bron's got to keep doing what he's doing. Other role players have to step up. Kendrick Nunn hopefully has an impact this year. Didn't get a chance to play last year. THT's got to develop. There's a lot of factors that come into play. But are those two guys good enough to make you a real threat in the Western Conference? I think that's what you got to ask yourself. We all know this. Some people might agree with this. Some people might disagree. The Lakers are in a desperate situation. They're desperate because LeBron James, every single year he's been on the Lakers, the idea and the concept is you got to compete for a chip. And it hasn't obviously worked out that way. His first year there, you still had all the young players. He got injured. Lakers didn't make the playoffs. They go trade for Anthony Davis. They win an NBA championship. The third year with LeBron James, kind of unfortunate circumstances, injury to Anthony Davis in the Phoenix series, the season's over. You're out in the first round. And then last year, I don't need to talk about last year, it was just a complete train wreck. Every year Bron's on this team, there's pressure to win. So I think there's some desperation, no question about it, for the Lakers. And, oh, by the way, some people, the August 4th date of Bron being able to, on August 4th, it's when LeBron can extend. He could extend for another 2 years. However you feel about Bron and his career and where he's heading and how much more he can contribute to the Lakers, I can tell you, I feel very, very confident that the organization, they want Bron and they want that extension. There's a lot that obviously comes with LeBron James as a Los Angeles Laker. They'd love to see him in the purple and gold for not just this upcoming season, but 2 more years after that. So there's kind of a time-sensitive issue that also falls into play here. I'll tell you where I lean today on this deal. I like Myles Turner and Buddy Hield on the Lakers. Absolutely, I do. I like that Russ would obviously go into a situation. We'll see what happens with Russ, but just for him to leave the Lakers, I think it's good for him as well. 2 first-rounders, when you're a team like the Lakers, where you have absolutely no idea what the future holds, where you have absolutely no idea where your organization is going to be in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years. We're in 2022 right now. That first rounder in 2027 and that first rounder in 2029, Laker fans, for all I know, that could be a top 5 pick. And I don't say that it could be a 25th pick. The hell if I know, right? Nobody knows. But it's safe to say that the Lakers are living their life for today and they're not really paying attention to the future. We've seen that. By the way, there are certain organizations that could get away with that. The Lakers are one of those organizations that can get away with that to an extent. To an extent. I'm not saying don't go trade your first 2 rounders. I'm not saying don't go trade future picks, because the Lakers have indicated so many different times that they're all in right now, and the future, they're worried about the future later. They're just worried about the present. But those 2 picks could very easily be really, really good picks down the road. And I say that because the Lakers have already gave away so many of their draft picks. One day LeBron James is going to decide to retire. Think about the Lakers over the last 10 years. Remember, there was a stretch there where they were having an incredibly difficult time bringing free agents in. And what did they depend on? They depended on the draft. And that draft, whether you like the D'Angelo Russell pick or you like the Brandon Ingram or the Lonzo Ball or Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson, whether you like those guys or you didn't, they became assets at some point. So you can go out there and go make a trade to go get a star player. So what I fear here by giving up these 2 first rounders, are those the right guys to give up those 2 first rounders for? Because the Myles Turner and Buddy Hield, would you be surprised if the Lakers were in the second round of the playoffs and lost to the Denver Nuggets in a 6-game series? Probably not, right? Like, Denver Nuggets are a good team. Clippers are going to come back. If they're healthy, they got a good team. The Warriors are who they are. The Suns are who they are. Dallas is only getting better. There's some good teams in the Western Conference. So I guess my hesitation is this. I don't know if those two guys, if they make you good enough to really truly think that you got a real opportunity coming out of the Western Conference. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I hesitate to trade those. And I'm the guy that's, hey, if you need to trade away a pick, or you need to trade away a young player to give yourself a chance to go win a championship, go freaking do it and don't hesitate. I just don't know if those two guys are going to be the difference. And I know, like I said, that there's so many other factors that come into play. Now, people may also look at this and say, wait a minute, you'd be willing to give up a pick or two potentially to go get a guy like Kyrie Irving. The Kyrie piece, I think, is a little bit different. Kyrie at least has an upside where that dude could literally hit a shot in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, drop 40 on any given night, compliment LeBron and Anthony Davis. He's a true all-star. He is. There's no really arguing that. And oh, by the way, you know what would potentially come with a guy like Kyrie Irving would be a Seth Curry or a Joe Harris. Exactly what the Lakers need. So I guess the upside is higher in a trade like that where maybe you're more willing to give up 2 first-rounders. This one I actually find myself hesitating on, at least today, to just hold back a second and say, okay, well, you don't have to make a move today. Maybe in a week or 2 weeks or whatever time goes by, maybe the Indiana Pacers feel, all right, we're not going to get a better offer for these two guys. We can get them off our books. Let's do it for 1 first-rounder and 2 second-rounders or whatever the case is. So I almost kind of find myself in a position right now is to watch this Lakers team and watch this offseason. And you know what? If you give it a second and let the rest of the offseason play out, maybe it'll work to your advantage. Because let's put it this way, that, hey, we'll give up Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, and you got to give us 2 first-rounders, and then they obviously take Russ's contract. I feel like that will always be there. That will never go away. That even if you get closer to training camp and you want to make that move, you'll have the ability to make that move. It's not like it doesn't sound like there's people lined up the door giving that type of draft compensation for those guys, plus taking them off your book. So it's not like the Lakers are not doing anything in return for the Indiana Pacers. Laker fans, what do you think? Is this the time that the Lakers say, screw those 2 first-rounders, let's get Myles Turner, Buddy Hield, and let's get ready for training camp coming in late September, early October? Or do you think they should sit back and wait? I'd love to get your thoughts on this. And also, too, something to keep in mind as far as we kind of watch how things unfold here with the Lakers. It's been really quiet on the Kyrie KD front, it seems like, for the last week and a half or so. So we'll see if there's more information that comes on that. I feel like the entire NBA just came to a pause, and we'll have to wait and see if anything ends up happening down the road. Lake fans, appreciate you guys being a part of the show. If you want to give a shout out to where you're tuning in from, feel free to do so, whether you're here in California, Southern California, or you're some different part of the United States or somewhere worldwide where I know we got a lot of listeners as well. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm back on tomorrow with Travis Rogers at 10 a.m., and then I'm back for Lakers Talk tomorrow night at 7 p.m. You can always catch those shows live on the ESPN LA app, and then also on the ESPN LA app, I have my podcast channels up there as well. All right, Lake fans, have a great rest of your Sunday.